Johnny Depp portrays a struggling yet oddly optimistic filmmaker who has infamously been thought of to be the very worst director in the history of cinema. In Ed Wood from director Tim Burton. This is today's review. It's probably on Netflix, so you definitely want to check this out. I have an old VHS copy here. It served me well. I was just watching the movie again recently, and this movie is exceptional. I love it. Of course, it is about Ed Wood, Johnny Depp portraying him, and how it really is about the end result of it is about the making of Plan 9 from outer space. So not only Ed Wood has been thought of to be the worst director of all time, but of course Plan 9 from outer space, quite infamously thought to be one of the worst movies of all time. So naturally that makes sense, doesn't it? So it really shows how really everything that we see in this movie, all the relationships developed, all the kind of chance encounters, all the kind of seedy deals made, they're all working towards this grand film, you know? So we see like uh, his relationships with the actors from his stage days, who he remained very faithful to in getting roles, and television psychic played by Jeffrey Jones, a television horror film host played by Lisa Marie, playing, of course, Vampira. Um, his associate Bunny, played by Bill Murray, who's great, and his connections to like the transvestite underworld, and his sort of fixation on Orson Welles and kind of comparing his career to Welles, and of course his relationship with Bela Lugosi, the actor who was well known for playing Dracula, and has not since seen much better days. Washed up actor, pretty much, and that's really where the heart of the movie is. It is about this relationship and how the two guys, they kind of help each other out. Martin Landau is playing Lugosi in this film. He's terrific. He's needless to say, he's the highlight of the movie. His performance dominates all. Won an Oscar for it, Best Supporting Actor. He is brilliant, brilliant, brilliant playing Bela Lugosi. As this character who is definitely seeing some down days, washed up. Everyone thinks he's dead. That's like kind of like a repeated line in the movie, like, Bela Lugosi, isn't he dead? And meanwhile, like the very first shot we see of him, actually the first and last shot of him in the movie are the same, in the casket, in the coffin, eyes closed. So we first see it, and it's like, why are they showing this dead guy in a coffin? Meanwhile, wakes up, he's like, this casket is no good, and he's testing out a coffin or something. I don't know. I don't really know what he was doing there. But anyway, Ed Wood, he chances upon him. It's a chance meeting, and he's like, oh, Mr. Lugosi, I'm a big fan, and they get to talking a little bit. They become friends, and they become peers, and they work together, and the low point in Lugosi's career is the high point in Ed Wood's career. So seeing these two interact together is definitely the precious part of the film. Where I mean, definitely Lugosi is an unpredictable person. Not only a washed-up actor who's a little bit of a downer. A little bit of in a funk. His wife has left him. He's living alone with his dogs, his children of the night. He's kind of off center somewhere, but he is an addict. He's a morphine addict, and he's kind of struggling to kind of stay coherent. And so we see that first moment of them working together in this movie, where they're filming Glen or Glenda, the sex change exploitation feature, or Ed Wood's gathering the cast and crew's like, all right, Mr. Lugosi's coming, but treat him like a regular guy. Don't feel like you have to point him out or anything like that. Blah blah blah. So whatever, hands him his money, his $1,000 for the movie. Like, you got the money, but sets up everything. He's going to introduce the picture, but then, the guy comes up to him and he's like, "Oh, Mr. Lugosi, I'm such a huge fan. Can I have your autograph?" And he's like, "Certainly, of course." And it's like, "Yeah, I really love that movie you did with Boris Karloff where you played his sidekick." And he's about to say, he's like, "Karloff? Sidekick? Fuck you! That limey cocksucker isn't fit to smell my shit! Motherfucker!" And he's like going off on this horrible tantrum. Meanwhile, Ed Wood, sheer, enduring, consistent optimist that he is, he's just like, Bella, do you want to take 5? And he's like, "Bullshit! Roll the film!" And they just continue on like normal. So he's a very unpredictable guy, and it kind of adds to sort of like dramatic tension, sort of. But at the end of it all, they are really good friends, and that is the heart and soul of the movie. I think that friendship, and how really, when it does amount to making this picture, this Plan 9 from outer space, it's seen as, at least in Ed Wood's eyes, a tribute to Bela. Gets up in front of the screen, even though the movie, like, he shot some footage of Bela Legosi before the movie was even conceived. He kind of worked around it, got a double who was his girlfriend's chiropractor to fill in for the scenes, but really only like the top portion of his, not even the top, middle part of his nose and eyes and eyebrows and forehead kind of look like him. He's bald, so they put a wig on him, and he's doing like this. He's like woo, 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 whatever. Doesn't talk. Horrible, horrible schlock. But he gets up when the movie's premiering. He's like, "This is for Bella," and we see this film, this Plan 9 from outer space. He says, "This is the movie that I'll be remembered for." Ed Wood himself said the movie's his pride and joy. So they see it as a triumph, which I like. So this movie isn't, it isn't poking fun at Ed Wood, not necessarily. At least needless to say, it sees the humor in it, but this isn't portraying him to be this horrible goofball. It is portraying him to be this optimist, this dreamer of dreams, this filmmaker. So, in that sense, I think it is an inspiring film. For Ed Wood, there is no dream too big, and there's no budget too small, evidently. And I think that's an inspiring thing to take from it. A true love of telling stories, a true love of filmmaking is seen throughout his entire attitude in this film. And Johnny Depp is absolutely brilliant playing this character, quite possibly his best role, in my opinion. Such a great and wacky voice. I don't even know if that, like, his voice is the voice of how Ed would really sound. I think he said that the voice he does is a mixture of Ronald Reagan, the Tin Man from Wizard of Oz, and Casey Kasem. And I kind of think, okay, that makes sense. So even though the most celebrated performance here is Landau's, Martin Landau's, for playing Bela Legosi, certainly Johnny Depp delivers some real magic, and they're both great together. Their on-screen personas just shine so much, and from a director like Tim Burton, like, obviously he's well known for always working with Johnny Depp, but here it's something very special, I think. And what he said about wanting to make the film is when he was approached to do it, he kind of saw a little bit of himself in sort of the relationship he developed between himself and Vincent Price when doing Edward Scissorhands. So I think that really shows in the film. So I do think that relationship between the actor and the director is really kind of the highlight of the movie, for sure. But we have a great supporting cast as well. I mean, we have so many great players in this film. Bill Murray, funny as always, playing Bunny, his associate, who he's like some of the funniest scenes in the movie, where he's like gathering all the transvestites in the hallway, and he's like getting them all together. He's like, "Now you look like a young Lauren Bacall, and I don't want any of you all to feel bad about that. That's just the way it is." And always talking about going to Mexico, getting his sex change operation, but it never quite happens. Lisa Marie playing Vampira, who clearly wants nothing to do with this Ed Wood character, and after her career takes a pitfall, she kind of has no choice but to appear in the film, but under the stipulation that your dialogue sucks. I'm not going to say anything in this movie. I'm a mute in the movie. Jeffrey Jones is great. Sarah Jessica Parker, the long-suffering girlfriend of Ed Wood, whose Angora sweaters just always seem to disappear. She's great in the film. Mike Starr playing the asshole producer who threatens to kill Ed Wood if he ever sees him again. Patricia Arquette later on playing the true love of his life. She's excellent in the film. We just have a great surreal kind of Tim Burton-y type of movie, but it is more grounded than his usual fare. But in this being this kind of biopic picture, I think it sort of follows the rules of this type of a movie, but with Tim Burton's own charms to them. And I would argue that this might very well be his best film. Certainly, I would say, if, I don't know offhand, but if you like, probably look up best reviewed Tim Burton movies on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm quite certain this would be high up, I'd say. If not like the top one or two or three or what have you. But I think it's an excellent film, and it has heart, and that's the important thing. It's not just show. We have this relationship between the actor and director. We have this passionate filmmaker who really wants to make these movies. He's in love with every shot he makes, you know? And we have kind of the themes of meeting your mentors. Like there's a great scene where uh, he I don't know where to begin. He dupes the Baptist church. His landlord's a member of the Baptist church into funding this movie. But him and his crew and cast, they all have to get baptized in order to do it. They're trying to bring their friends into the cast, and they're trying to control it creatively. And he's just freaking out. Goes to a bar. Who does he meet but Orson Welles, who he's always, I want to be like Orson Welles. Orson Welles was 27 years old when he made Citizen Kane. That's how old I am now, and look where I am now. And they have that kind of meaningful meet your mentor kind of conversation, which is great. And that's Vincent D'Onofrio playing him physically, but Maurice LaMarche playing his voice, which if you're not familiar with Maurice LaMarche, he is the best Orson Welles impressionist of all time, and the best voice actor of all time, in my opinion. I'm a huge fan of the show The Critic. Look up some clips of the show The Critic, where Maurice LaMarche is voicing Orson Welles in some parodies of his career downfall days, where he's like hawking frozen peas. It's brilliant. But anyway. I think it's a great movie, and the fact that it sees Ed Wood as a positive character in a positive light, and showing the ultimate, creation of Plan 9 from outer space as a triumph, I think is important. And his attitude towards making a film. The results may vary, I guess, but a lot of people should have that attitude, not just about film, but perhaps about life itself. Because that's kind of what it's all about. We have that beautiful ending of the movie where they come out of the premiere of Plan 9. It's pouring rain. He's at the top of the world. He's with his darling, Patricia Arquette. He opens up the convertible. Water's pouring out. And he's like, let's get married, sweetie. And she's like, but it's raining, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we'll go to Vegas and we'll get married. It'll stop raining by then, even on the way. And I think that says a lot. I mean, filmmaking, maybe there's too much emphasis on getting things a certain way, setting up a camera a certain way, perfecting things a certain way. I mean, you look at someone who I admire greatly, like Stanley Kubrick, and compare him to Ed Wood. Ed Wood, even with the cross-dressing, even with, his schlocky films, say he's a well-adjusted and positive person. So we should have that attitude to life. Life isn't perfect, but, keep rolling the camera, as they say. So I love the movie. I think it's a masterpiece. I would rate Ed Wood 4 stars out of 4. The performances from Johnny Depp and Martin Landau are absolutely superb, and this may very well be Tim Burton's strongest film. I love it, what can I say? So, Ed Wood, check it out if you haven't already. If you haven't seen it, then fuck you! Bullshit! You gotta check it out. Anyway, even if you're not a Tim Burton fan, I'd say, even if you're not a Tim Burton, Johnny Depp fan, this is definitely something a little different. And I think I mentioned this before, but the movie's so good that people don't even see it as a Tim Burton movie, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But anyway, it's probably on Netflix, so give it a watch, huh? That's my review, so be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Visit Derek237.com. Keep watching for more, and until next time, pull the strings, pull the strings.